Death Nettles are one of the best melee weapons in the entire game, and you can mass produce them rather easily as a botanist. So each hit will do 13 caustic damage guaranteed to whoever you hit because it's basically like injecting them, on top of the fact that it does 7.5 of each unique type. So depending on their armor, they're guaranteed to take 13 damage, and plus whatever they will end up taking. So if they're naked, they'll take quite a lot. So just for example, if I hit myself once, instantly go from good to okay, and if I just health analyzer myself, you can see it is very, very damaging. There are three things you need in order to make this process easy. You need plant clippers, which you can get yourself. You need to get a box of exotic seed crates because you need nettle seeds, and you need mutagen. We don't need the mutagen quite at this second, but all you do is you go around planting the nettles and taking samples, and you'll keep planting until you fill up as many hydroponic trays as you want. With this method, you shouldn't need too many to get at least a few death nettles, but if you want to mass produce them for something like nukies, you're going to probably want to use a few trays. Especially on low roleplay, if there are nukies announced, Nuki's win rate has gone fairly high. Nukies have gotten indirectly buffed pretty hard since space pens are removed, so average crew members can't fight back quite as easily. But if botany is growing death nettles by the literal dozens, every single person on the station can have a very deadly weapon, because remember, it does that damage because it's basically a hypo pen getting injected. Sure, blood red heart suits have 50% heat and 50% caustic, so that means you're actually only going to do, well, half of each per hit, but you're still injecting them, so you can pretty much 6 or 7 hit a nuki, which unfortunately means you will actually need more than one death nettle to be able to do so, but with this method you will end up getting quite a few, and you can do it rather quickly. As you can see, nettles grow really fast. I'm not having even finished talking before I've even planted them, but anyways, I'm just going to plant the rest, and I'll be back once they're grown. Alright, so once you're in this phase of all the nettles being grown, obviously this is overdone. You need unstable mutagen, which chemistry can make for you. Unstable mutagen isn't too hard to make, so getting it is pretty common. It just takes radium, phosphorus, and chlorine, so it's really easy to make, and these chemicals aren't used in too many other things, so asking chemistry for this isn't that big of a deal usually, but you need to be cautious with it. Either way, what you want to do is you just want to go through the nettles and dump 5 units on each one, and just keep an eye out. You don't want the plants over mutating, and if they do start mutating poorly, you have to kill them. This method does result in some duds. You won't always get death nettles. Well, there we go. See, as soon as you see them turn red, that means you have death nettles. You could just simply left click them, but what I would recommend doing is using the plant clippers on them now, because that will actually get you a packet of death nettles, and then you could just left click it, and you'll get 2 death nettles, and these ones happen to be slippery due to their mutation, so that's kind of funny. But again, these will do the 7.5 damage, and if I examine the solutions, they have not a ton of sulfuric acid and fluorosulfuric acid, so we got death nettles from this one. Some of these are going to have weeds in them, so make sure you have your mini hoe ready to scrape them out. They won't always inject, but we do have the packet of death nettles, and we can now just mass produce death nettles on their own. So even if you run up against something with the blood red, and you manage to hit them twice with the death nettle, meaning that we use all the reagents, as you can see, they're all gone. These 2 hits will do quite a lot of damage because fluorosulfuric and sulfuric acid inject damage pretty quickly. Those 2 hits ended up doing 30 burn, so if you had 3 of these, you could 6 hit a nuki essentially. But obviously that's not super practical. If a nuki is letting you hit them 6 times, they're already putting themselves in a horrible situation. Nuki should not be getting melee that many times. Just before I end this video, to make your death nettle factory just a little bit more efficient. So a normal potency death nettle will only have 4 of each of the reagents. A 50 potency death nettle will actually have 9 of each. So you get 3 solid melee hits off instead of just the 1.5. And all you have to do to achieve this is, so you get your packet of death nettles after you successfully mutate, you dump 2 clicks of robust harvest onto it, and you just wait a little bit, like, I don't know, just like 20 or 30 seconds before you can make an entire really powerful death nettle factory. So once you wait a few seconds, you just clip them and inspect it. As you can see, the potency's at 50, and then you could just plant it, clip it, plant it, clip it, and so on until you have as many as you want. And then each time you will produce 2 death nettles with 9 of each acid. So really you should definitely make robust harvest with your new death nettles, because it's like putting multiple death nettles into one, because you can't fill up a death nettle with different reagents unless you do really good crossbreeding, and that's just way too much work because you're typically going to be making these an emergency against nukies, or if you're a syndicate, you just have better options in general than trying to make a perfect death nettle. But I mean, it is a gimmick. You could always try making an insane death nettle, but this at least gives you a basic understanding of how to make these death nettles very efficiently. Thank you for watching.